a little older. And I don't know if you're like me, but I find now that I used to be the young guy at work, now I'm the old guy at work. I got a doctor that's younger than me. I got a pastor that's younger than me, and now this person, the president of the United States, is younger than me. So it's kind of gotten to be that way over time. I guess it's just another phase of our life. In fact, I heard a couple of kids out of the church talking about me the other day. I overheard them. One was saying, "Well, how old do you think Mr. LeGrand is?" And one said, "I think he's so old when he was a little boy, the Dead Sea was just sick." And then the other one turned around and said, "Well, he couldn't take driver's ed when he was in high school because the mule died." And then one of them comes to me and he said, "Hey, were you on Noah's Ark?" I said, "I was not." He said, "Well, how did you keep from drowning?" So anyway, we're going to ask our class president, Jim Goshi. He's going to come up and give a few opening remarks. I'm going to kind of MC this and be this traffic cop today, if you all don't mind. I don't mean to grab the spotlight, but Jim is our class president. He's going to give some opening remarks. We're going to go around and recognize some people. So, Jim.
Thank you, Rodney. Again, it is my pleasure being here, seeing so many of you that I have not seen in a long time, and that Rodney is that kudos to you and to other people who have helped organize this and put this thing together. Before I get started, is that I'd like to maybe take a little moment of silence to recognize the 4 classmates that are not with us today. Those 4 classmates are Donnie Kilhefner, Danny Tatum, Gary Reeds, and Bobby Thompson. And also in this moment of silence is that Orion recently had 2 young people lose their lives. So let's just take a little moment of silence to recognize these people.
We're going to bring Susan up, and I'm just going to apologize up front. I'm going to probably end up saying a maiden name somewhere along the line instead of a married name. But Susan's going to come up. We're going to recognize our teachers that are here. We've got a couple of class sponsors that aren't here. You're going to give an update. Are you all ready? Come on up here, Susan.
Well, I don't need the microphone.
Okay.
I've been in public education so long, you probably hear me out there. But Miss Walters died about 5 years ago. She had remarried. Her name was Critty Thorpe before she died. She was living at the chateau, I think, when she passed away. And Karen was just telling me about her dad. He is living in an assisted living facility in Crystal City. And we're glad to hear that he's doing fine. And I think those are those were our class sponsors there. Okay. Oh, and Mama's here. My mom. She wasn't a class sponsor, but when I told her what we were going to do, she said, "Oh, that was always one of my favorite classes." So she had to come today to see you all. Mr. Sadler, I'm sorry, Mr. Sadler. See, I told you I couldn't even remember how many cheerleaders we had. I had to look at the picture. Harlan Sadler's here and his wife. We're so glad you're here. Good to see you.
We're going to ask Terry to come up. Our country's gone through some wars here of recent, and we've got some classmates that have had some military service. We want Terry to recognize.
I overcame that. First thing I want to know is who's driving the yellow Corvette. Anybody disagree? Steve and I thought about renting a car like that and driving it today. Okay, good. In thinking about what Rodney asked me to do today, I'm one of these people that, Steve will tell you this, we've been friends since way back, and I have a really good memory for things back then. I can't remember what I did yesterday or last night even, but I can remember things that happened back then. We lived in a very, very turbulent time when we were in high school. Most of us didn't know that. If you project to the classes ahead of us, class of '68, class of '67, those guys got hit pretty hard. we were really fortunate because by the time we graduated, things were kind of evolving, going the other way. But I remember a lot of the guys that got drafted out of the classes ahead of us. And we were fortunate because those who have served in the military basically fared well and survived it. And one of the people that I became friends with in high school, and it was kind of funny, it was Mr. Sadler's first hour class. It was an advanced biology class. There were only like 7 of us in there. One of them was Jim Burris. And Jim didn't graduate the year before like he's supposed to have. And he came back, and he had guts and gumption to come back, and he graduated. He didn't graduate with us, but he left in December. And the whole war thing kind of came home to me then, because for some oddball reason, Jim and I became sort of friends, which is really a strange kind of combination there. But when Jim got, he had joined the Marine Corps. I don't know if you guys remember the group the year before. Eddie Abner and all these guys, Jim Anthony, several of them joined the Marines. Yeah, Gary Babbitt, a whole bunch joined the Marine Corps. And Jim was one of them. And he finished up school and went to the Marines. And he sent me letters. The last time I had any communication with Jim, he had written me a letter from Vietnam and said, "You don't know how bad this is." He said, "I'm not going to make it through this." And he did make it through, but Jim passed away a couple of years ago, or last year I think it was, which is kind of a tragic thing because I don't think he really did make it through Vietnam, really. But anyway, at this point in time, I'd like to recognize Jim and anybody else who's in the military. If you served in the military, I know, Delbert, you're in the Air Force, and Steve was in the Air Force and the Navy. He would have joined the Army, but somebody talked him out of it. Seriously. Charlie's in the Army, just got back from Iraq. You know, so there's several people involved in the military. If you would, please stand. You served in the military.
First of all, I'd also like to say how great it is to be here and to see everybody. I see so many old friends and people I have memories of. And when Rod started putting this thing together, I pulled out the old yearbook and started looking at pictures, and memories started coming back. And I have just really nice memories of everybody in here. And I think, and Terry and I have had many discussions over the years about who we are now. It's a product of where we came from, the friends we had, the great teachers we had. I went to kids who went to college with kids who had gone to much bigger high schools, but Terry and I always agreed that we had the best teachers anywhere, and that the things we learned it well. And I think it served, when I look around at what a successful group of people we are as a group, I think the high school served us very well. You know, I'm really kind of nostalgic about those years, and it's just really great to see everybody again.
I have a lot of fond memories of this class. In fact, of 34 years of teaching, this class was my favorite. My 3 years of teaching at ORAN were the best 3 years of my career. Although I taught not the past year, but 3 years prior to that at Eagle Ridge Christian School, and I loved that school very dearly, and I consider those classes, all 4 years, to be equal to the year I had with you guys. You guys were the greatest.
Thank you. Thank you.